Hi, I'm Tom Travat, and this is Photography Adjacent, a podcast about photography and everything else. Each week on our show, we speak to artists, activists, writers, and the occasional photographer to learn about life through their lens. Welcome to the final episode of this season of Photography Adjacent, a podcast about photography and everything else. Today, I'm interviewing my friend Kezi Husseyin. She's known online as Kezi Photography or Stories by Kezi. She is a family portrait photographer and wedding photographer. Her work is very much in a kind of documentary spirit of photography. It's very cinematic, very warm and intimate kind of photography. It's definitely not the kind of obvious posed, cheesy family photography that you might have seen on the high street 30 years ago. Stick around for a lovely conversation with Kezi. We talk a lot about how she creates an intimate environment for her clients, and also how the types of photography that she does relates to her political and social activism and leanings and so forth there. So yeah, listen to the podcast, watch the YouTube channel, like, subscribe, follow, etc. for more like this. We will be back in a couple of months' time with season 2, so stick around and listen in for that. Kezi Husseyin, welcome to Photography Adjacent. This is the final episode of our first season of Photography Adjacent. We do 10 episodes per season, so I don't know if that's fantastic for you, or I don't know, maybe it's good that you've got.
Well, hopefully it's a good finale.
Good finale, season finale of Photography Adjacent. Kezi, it's really, really nice to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. It's we've known each other for a little while. You're friend of the show, let's say. For people who follow my Instagram, they may well recognize you because we've done a shoot together, and your face appears on my Instagram feed and on my website, which was really fantastic. It was a really lovely time to work together.
Yeah,
you're a photographer.
I am.
You're a photographer, so tell me a little bit more about the kind of photography that you do, because it's predominantly portraiture, weddings, that kind of thing, isn't it?
I mean, at the moment, it's probably predominantly family shoots, and dipping into portraits. And then I guess the second arm of the business is weddings. But I think probably it's going to be steering more into portraiture and weddings. Again, still through documentary style, and sort of capturing people in what is their space, their identity. But yeah, I think predominantly at the moment it's family stuff, documentary style and storytelling. But I'm hoping to go more into portraiture and weddings. So yeah,
fantastic.
That's where I'm at.
And you're London based? Yes,
London based, but we'll travel.
But we'll travel. Okay, fantastic. So when looking through your portfolio, your lovely portfolio of photographs, what strikes me immediately is that you've got a very realized style. You've got an idea of who you are as a photographer. There is definitely a kind of editing style that goes throughout all of your work. And there's a kind of sensitivity there to the clients, to them in their own environment. Like you say, it's a kind of documentary style, maybe a kind of like day in the life of, rather than the very cheesy, maybe posed portraiture that we associate with family photography. How did you reach this point? Because obviously it's quite a process to get to there, isn't it?
I think, I mean, I've never been into photography where it's like you're all looking at the camera, unless it's a very intended pose where you're all looking into the camera, and then therefore it's quite classic and traditional, which I love, and I always do that in shoots as well. But leading it to be more natural, which a lot of clients will always come and say, we don't want the pose ones, we want the natural ones, we want it to be authentic. But I think within that there is still an element of posing and still having your voice sort of guiding and leading them. And so what I have found is that the moments that speak the most truth to that person or that family is perhaps after given a direction to them, and when that direction has fallen apart, and there is a bit of mess, there is a bit of chaos, things don't seem to be going as planned, there might be like a bit of worrying from them. maybe they're faffing about with something. That's the moments that are where I'm like clicking away. Movement. It's all about movement. Like, regardless of who I'm shooting, and the environment that we're shooting in, movement is really important. It's where there is flow, and that energy it like really transcends through the photos. So yeah, and also if somebody hasn't been photographed before and perhaps they're feeling like nervous to be in front of a camera, it just allows just to move, you know, to get the energy flowing, and feel less awkward, I think. And I think that sort of does transcend through. So yeah, and I want it to be authentic to the people that I'm photographing as well. And so it's within those broken moments of forgetting that they're being photographed, that's when their truth, you know, is being displayed. So yeah, that's when I'm most active with capturing them.
Lovely.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And so you're working predominantly with families, so there's kids involved as well. So it gets a little bit wild sometimes, presumably.
Yeah, exactly, which helps. Like, bring the wild. I always say, you know, it doesn't, because it doesn't matter if they are playing up or if things are not going as they had intended. I think it allows the shoot to be more a mirror of the daily life, and that's what the goal always is. So yeah, like I've got 2 boys as well, and I know the chaos of home life, and when I'm thinking of photos that I want to have myself, it is the chaos and it is the mess. I will always say to keep the mess as well, because even if it's just like a dirty cup on the side or the pajamas on the floor, every single piece of the scene is like a portal to that moment, because it's ever changing. So yeah, embrace the chaos and the mess.
Lovely. I really like that approach, and I think it's I really want to come back to that in a moment, but let's just zoom out a touch. Let's step back a couple of years in time, and you can tell me how you got to this position. Like, what were you doing before, and like, how long have you been a photographer? What's the story of Kezi?
This is really interesting, and it's something that I've started to think about recently as well, because I've been doing my website and I've been writing about it. So I have always been working with people, and prior to being a photographer, I was working with vulnerable adults. I was working with people in addiction. I was working with older adults, disability. I was a social worker as well. I went to uni. That's what I did. And so from as soon as I left school, I've always been wanting to work with people in some way. And in so many ways, I feel like I've gone a complete opposite direction in my career and now doing something artistic and creative. But there is such a crossover, and it's actually really beautiful to think of it like that, because I was working with people in a vulnerable place in their life, and I was part of their story in some way. And so I feel like some of those values I've brought through into wanting to capture people's stories. And it's as well why, like, I don't always want it to look aesthetic or beautiful, because it's meant to be whatever is their life and their identity. And it is going to be messy sometimes and not picture perfect and beautiful. And so, yeah, I think those values that I sort of got from the social work world, I want to bring over and bring that through whatever I'm doing. Because, yeah, like, I just find people so interesting, and everyone's story is different. And, yeah, I feel honoured to sort of be part of it in some way and capture it.
Absolutely. In a way, it's very, very different to the way that I shoot. I'm very much more kind of, let's get people into a quite, closed environment, to sort of, like a kind of like a studio environment, obviously. Yeah. Whereas you're like, right, I'm going to throw myself into the muck. Kind of the muck of people's everyday lives.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it is quite different with some similarities, but I absolutely adore your work. I love it.
You have to say that.
No, but I think that, like, your work as well, it's as much as it is, as you said, like, you're closing people off, it's still the authentic self that comes through. And I've been photographed by you as well, and it's you do similar, like when I'm talking or speaking of something that I love, that's where the moment is that you're capturing. So, there are similarities as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In those environments, Kezi, when you're in someone's private space, what's the kind of process that you get to allow them to actually trust you? Because of course, maybe they've found you online.
Yeah.
They don't know who you are. Maybe you have a phone call, or what's the process you go through before you get into
before the shoot?
Yeah. Build trust.
I think a lot of the personality, I hope, would come through from my voice on my platforms and my website and my work even. And so like a lot of the time that people come, they will say that they can tell that I take a natural approach, and that my voice isn't like so loud across the imagery because the voice is coming from them. So I hope that it does speak through the work anyway, why they have been drawn to me. And yeah, I think I take email conversations very informally. So I try to just keep it really just like a friendly chat. Like I want to be a friendly person, and I will always offer if they want to have a phone conversation. Like I had a client one time who was extremely nervous to be in front of a camera, and so we had a phone conversation first, and she's gone on to book like 5 more shoots since, where her confidence has like really built up. I think it's also like really important to take a personalized approach to each person. Like it could just be a fairly like almost like a business transaction, or through the inquiry maybe they have poured out a lot of their story already, and so I'll like tap into bits of their story to create a rapport, and like the similarities between us and stuff. So I think before I've even met them, I get their vibe and they get my vibe. I
think a lot of people have gone from something like social work or some kind of care work into photography because they recognize that similarity. Yeah.
Really? Okay, that's interesting.
I think there's a kind of, I think obviously with care work, you work really incredibly hard and are very, very badly paid for it. And I think what tends to happen is that people get burnt out. So maybe they do sort of 10, 12, 15 years worth of this, and they're like, I love helping people. I really want to help people. And then after that period of time, this may well be the same for other kinds of professions as well. But it seems like, I want to find a way that I can continue to help people, but in an environment that I'm a little bit more like in control of, maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
And photography, running your own business certainly is a way to do that.
It's the answer.
It's the answer. Run your own business, guys. Absolutely. So fantastic. So if you're working with these clients quite closely, or being, you're entering into their personal space, their private space, they trust you and so forth. Like you talk about the idea of there being, leave that cup out, leave the pajamas on the floor, those sorts of things. Why for you is that the kind of an important part of your storytelling process?
I think the word storytelling really has become such a buzzword within the industry, and I think it's quite a new thing that people are like grabbing onto, like clients and photographers, and I feel like there's a real misunderstanding of what the word actually means and how to get that across through sessions and what it looks like on shoot day. So like I love movies and cinematography, and I always sort of visualize things as a movie scene, like image stills from like Fight Club or The Matrix. You have like such an incredible scene where there is a lot of lines from the architecture, and then you've got like a really intimate moment like right in the center of it. So I try and always visualize things like this, and it's how I view my gallery delivery as well. So from the beginning shot to the end shot, I want there to be an actual story being told. And in wedding photography, like the very first image that they see is going to be possibly the bride getting ready. So she's going from just a girl in her dressing gown, nervous, no makeup, with, you know, possibly there is stuff going on in the background, there's a little bit of chaos, and then all the way to the end image where she's married and possibly a little bit drunk, and it's again like a different kind of chaos. But that's how I see it. I do see it like a story from start to finish. And so, yeah, like the word storytelling kind of, it threw me for a bit, because I felt like there was a something that I'm supposed to achieve from storytelling. But I think honestly, it is perspective, your own perspective as a photographer, and your eye, and change and identity. And so those things are what I try and bring through my photography, the ever-changing identity of ourselves, the perspective, and is how I'm viewing their story. And the appreciation of the small details as well. So, for example, I will always photograph like the remnants of breakfast, or like the wedding breakfast that they've had, like there's crumbs of the croissant or something. Because, yeah, those details are the portals, I think, to the moment.
I can really imagine that if you're in a bridal party, you're there getting ready, there's makeup flying, hair curlers, whatever, etc., 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 and you're there kind of capturing those little moments, those little kind of intimate moments, that actually the way that you actually construct that story is through this kind of description of the environment. So like you say, the crumbs on the table, maybe you've got the hands that are sort of curling someone's hair, those sorts of things. And in a way, it's very important to have those things, not just the sort of, clean image.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's really important as well, like for my presence in the room to not be overpowering. And I'm there to document the things that I'm seeing, and every single part of it is important and adds to the story. Whether it is like a really close-up detail of the hair shot, or a complete scene of the chaos that's happening. So yeah, I think it's always really appreciated afterwards, because it's yes, they've lived it, but it's not how they've seen it. It's not like the small things that are happening. And the day just goes so quickly, or the shoot, if it's a family shoot, and it's ever changing. It's in a few months' time, it's not going to be like that in their home anymore. There's going to be different things happening. And so it's like clinging on to those moments that soon become so valuable.
Absolutely. And in a way, it really is those little moments, because what I was thinking about while you were talking was actually that the only reason that this is possible is because of digital. Because if you were a film photographer, and of course we do, there are photographers that do come and do these kinds of intimate moments on film photography, but in a way it's like very expensive. Whereas the kind of, the fact that you can come and shoot like 10 photographs of some crumbs, it's unlikely to be something that you can do really on film.
That's true. That is true. Yeah, I mean, every shot would be essential for film. Not that crumbs are not essential. They are absolutely.
Crumbs are very essential.
That's interesting.
In a way but that leads me on to the idea that actually, you're looking at something that you're looking at something in a way that creates your frame of this creates a kind of cinematic approach to even crumbs. So even the smallest of detail is worthy of being kind of appreciated and savoured and kind of is part of the kind of cinema of the day.
Yes,
which I think is really, really lovely, because actually we do have there's a very strong tradition in cinema of the kind of the everyday and
it's romanticizing those small moments that actually make up the big picture. and it's like, yeah, just like honing in on those. And I think it can be really beautiful, and they deserve to be appreciated.
I think so.
Story.
Yeah. And in a way, there's something a little bit like that's why this is interesting, this kind of relationship between social work and photography, right? It's not just about that kind of connection that you're creating with the client, the trust and the helping and those sorts of things. But precisely in a way, it's like, okay, here I am taking care of, sort of bringing into bringing to light the kind of little moments, those little important kind of moments.
No, for sure. Yeah. I want them to be fully seen. That's really, really important to me. It's probably the most important thing about my business. I want everybody to feel valued and seen. And I'm stepping into somebody's home, which is their safe, sacred space. Every single thing within that home, I want to is important, and I want them to know that through me as well. I want them to see it through me or through the lens. And so, yeah, like little details in people's homes. I will always like fridge magnets, for example. I love photographing fridge magnets and the way that it's been displayed on that day, because that is part of the childhood of their kids, or wherever they are in their life. And again, it's going to change next month. So
absolutely,
it's a way of pausing time.
In a way, right, like the people that book you are the adults, the parents, but the people that will appreciate these photographs the most are probably going to be the kids in like 30 years time.
Generations to come, exactly.
They're going to discover these photographs and be like, oh my God, I remember that fridge magnet.
Yeah, how cute is that?
It's so lovely. They remember those, because actually that's right. They will be the ones that come back and say, Mum, do you remember this color teacup that we had? And Mum's like, oh my God, yeah, we lost that. Or, and it's because of that kind of memory that created by those little kind of things that we don't actually consider as, they're just kind of incidental things to our lives. Right. But for a kid, it's like, well, these are really, really important kind of parts of their life. Like if my mum serves something up to me in a pot that she used to use when I was a kid, I'm like, oh, I remember that. Yeah, so I think that's really valuable. That's a really valuable part of it.
No, it is
Lovely.
Yeah.
You've got kids yourself.
Yeah.
You've got 2 little ones.
I do.
What's life like and running a business like, holding down the fort with those 2 as well?
It's chaos, Tom. There's honestly, there is no secret to balance. And I think to maintain a balance is a really unrealistic, unachievable expectation to put on yourself. And I think that being aware of feeling unbalanced is just the most important thing that you can do, and to regularly reevaluate what's happening in your life, and if you're feeling unbalanced, is the way that I kind of do it. But every day is different, every week is different. It's the reality of self-employment as well. Sometimes it's quieter, sometimes it's really busy. How does that then tie into being a parent with the expectations on motherhood? So yeah, it definitely goes through waves, and I think that is just the reality of life at the moment.
No, absolutely.
And yeah, I'm just surrendering to it, really.
Are you documenting their lives as well?
I'm trying. I've just bought a small, much smaller lens to just have around the house. So I'm gravitating towards picking up my camera a lot more. Yeah, I'm definitely behind on editing their photos, but it's a forever goal.
Absolutely. Well, they're not paying you, are they? So you can take all the time in the world. To be very geeky for a second, you just mentioned a lens. Yeah. So what do you shoot on predominantly? Like what camera system?
Well, the lens that I mostly have on mostly it's 35 and 85. But I have, so the new lens that I got is just a 50, nifty 50, which I really love shooting with. I really love the 50. And then another new lens that I've got is the 70 to 200, which I've been bringing to the protest, which all of my protest photos are shot with that lens, which I absolutely love, and I can't wait to use that more in like shoots and stuff. But yeah, predominantly it's the 35 and 85.
And which camera system?
Sony A7 III. Yeah,
we'll touch on the protest photography in a second, because I think that actually feeds from the kind of work that you've been doing. But I just want to ask you a little bit more about the sort of your personal engagement with this kind of with what you do as a photographer.
Yeah.
Because obviously on your website you've got the work that you've done for clients, but there's also a lot of personal work on there as well.
Yeah,
so there's some self-portraiture in various different kind of stages of your life. Feels like you're kind of charting or diarizing your life through photography. So in a way, you're kind of treating yourself in the same kind of way as those subjects are.
It's so important. Self-portraits are so important. And I know that you're not exactly asking about self-portraits.
Sure, but I am a bit.
I think it's really important for anybody to do, not just a photographer, but I think it's a way of self-therapy, and especially in your darker moments or moments where you're not feeling particularly like beautiful to be photographed, are the moments that should be captured, because when you look back on that in years to come, you will see your growth and you will really value the person that you was in that photo. I'm a really big sort of like fan and pushing of self-portraiture. I need to do it more. I
need to do it a little bit as well. I don't do it at all.
Really?
No, of course
Have
not.
you ever, Tom?
I've tried to. I think I'd find it quite tricky because of the way that I shoot.
Okay.
If I shooting with manual focus, shooting with very, very low apertures, wide apertures, and it's something to explore maybe at a later date. Maybe
I'd love to see it.
I don't know if I would. You mentioned protest photography, and both you and I have got quite a lot of protest photography on our Instagram. Certainly for me, it was something that when I picked up the camera again in 2020, I was doing a lot of stuff with the BLM marches and all sorts of things, Extinction Rebellion and so forth. And of course, both of us have documented, you to a greater degree than me, our involvement in the pro-Palestine marches over the last 6 months. This is clearly something that's very important to you. This is something that's important to me as well.
Yeah.
But tell me a little bit about your engagement with the marches, but also your kind of you using photography to think through your engagement with sort of political activism.
I mean, I think there was a really, not just for in the photography industry, but anybody in work and their businesses. Should I speak on this or should I stay quiet? Should I wait until there is a big wave of it or not? And I think really early on, like even during Black Lives Matter as well, it became a really fundamental part of my business and me as a person to ensure that I am loud on these things and that my perspective is known, because at the end of the day, that's kind of like the connection that I want to be building with the people that I'm working with anyway. And I think it's sort of, I want it to be part of my identity as a brand as well. And it's almost like a grounding and framework for the type of work that I want to be capturing, as it should be, in my opinion. Yeah.
I mean, you could very easily make the argument, and I would understand it very well, that you can't care for the person directly in front of you if you can't care for the person on the other side of the world. You know, there are people suffering in great numbers in Palestine. And actually, if you're going to be producing, work that is really about care, then that care has also got to spread to people that aren't proximate to you.
Yeah.
And we are living through a time that in which care is necessary, not just for Palestinians, but for for refugees and all sorts of people around the world. But it is a very, very pressing and important part of that. And I think what's really valuable actually about us, especially you working in this kind of arena and putting this kind of at the front or the forefront of your business, is that what it does is it makes it impossible to ignore. It says something along the lines of, we can't have a normal conversation without this kind of having been part of the conversation. We can't ignore it. We can't say business as usual.
Yeah.
And, we've actually gone through multiple versions of this in different ways. Like we might say the Me Too movement was a kind of sort of a part of that kind of, we can't have those conversations, business as usual. BLM, another, we can't kind of work business as usual. I think the Palestinian cause is very much the same thing. I mean, the Palestinian cause is very much part of the BLM movement in a way as well. So I think that's vital for your work, actually. Like you can't do what you do without it being kind of part of that. It seems a little bit more divorced from what I do. There's something a much more kind of commercial, kind of focused in terms of what I do, which I've actually been struggling with in terms of like, how do I talk in these particular registers? I can really see it working with you, but in a way for me, it's like I also teach. I teach in the politics department. So I teach in an environment in which there's politics is like key and it's constantly happening, but also not my particular colleagues in my university, but colleagues in different universities are losing their jobs by speaking out.
Yeah. In
the US, especially. Jodie Dean being a really key example, someone who's just who wrote a very kind of important article about the Palestinian cause, and she lost her job in her university. So in very, very real ways, it is dangerous to speak out, especially in the US. I think maybe slightly less so in this country, but it's not without its risks. So I think it's very brave to be able to do that. So that's fantastic.
I do feel like at an advantage because I'm my own person and I am my own business, and my business is an extension of me. And so the losses that I could potentially have are risks that I'm willing to take. And actually, I don't see it as losses. I see it as I'm reframing the type of people that I want to be working with. And it's like a magnet. And it's not just about speaking politically, which it's not political. It's just caring. But, speaking on things that are potentially provocative for some people, I think it's part of your brand identity, and that does also feed into your ethics and your values as a person. I think it makes it very obvious, and I don't understand why wouldn't you want that to be part of your brand? And it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be the definition of your business. It's part of your identity. So, how is your perception of the world? What is your personality? Are you like extroverted or introverted? Are you queer? All of these things make up the person that you are and extend to your business. And there creates your niche, and there creates your target audience. That's kind of the way that I perceive it, and how I'm just sort of going forward with it.
I think it's really important. I think it's very valuable for us to understand those sorts of things about ourselves as business owners and as people.
Yeah, for sure.
About attracting, you're putting out there in the world a kind of, like you say, magnets, but also like you're turning the magnet the other way around and pushing people away that you don't want to work
right,
with,
exactly.
And you certainly can't have a business. You can't have a business niche without repelling some people. You're not for everybody. We can't sort of go, oh well, I serve everybody. Well, no, actually, you can't.
Exactly. Yeah.
We can't do that. So I think it is really important to kind of hold on to our values and present them in a way that is true to who we are. So that's really fantastic.
Yeah.
Kezi, before we wrap up,
Yeah.
I want to ask you, what does the future hold? What's the next 6 months, year, 2 years looking like for you in terms of your photography?
Oh man, I mean, I'm really hoping to do a lot more weddings. I absolutely love shooting weddings, because I think it is just the perfect opportunity for the documentary storytelling style that, you know, I was speaking about earlier. I would love to do more creative portraits, but of people in their own environments, whether that is like a small brand, or anything really, just people with a story. One-to-one portraiture, I'd really love to do more of that. I would really love to do more queer photography as well. So yeah, I'm going to be thinking about how to incorporate that very much into my business. And yeah, still, you know, the protests and protest photography very, very much in there as well. And I want to start selling some of the photos that I've taken for like charity profits. So yeah, there are definitely small reachable goals.
Lovely.
But yeah, exciting times.
Nice. And one thing that you didn't mention is that you and I are working together on a small project, which is called Portraits for Palestine. Do you want to tell us more about that?
I can't wait. I can't wait for this, Tom. I mean, it's kind of like everything that we've just spoken about, like put together, like working with people, and how like passionate we are about speaking on world ethics and values. So yeah, we're going to be combining our skills and our different eyes on capturing some portraits of people that would like to donate to a chosen charity. Right?
Absolutely. There will be much more information on both of our Instagrams about that coming up, I'm sure of it. Talking of Instagrams and talking of online, where can people find you online? How do they find you?
My Instagram page is Kezi Photography, so Kezi Photography. And the other page which I have is Stories by Kezi. That's more wedding portfolio. I don't really engage too much on that one, but it's more just for like the grid and what it looks like. And my website is just Kezi Photography.
Of course. So, no, that's great. And I love your work. And it's one of the things that I notice about your work is this kind of real sense that both on the one hand that it feels cinematic or looks cinematic in one respect, but it also feels very everyday. It's this kind of slight kind of the muck of the everyday, which I really love.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate
but
that.
it's also got this kind of sense of there being like a photographer, because it's not just a snap. There's a artistic eye to it, and it does feel a little bit close to film photography in that respect. It sort of has a sort of sense that it could be captured on some like older film stock or something like that through a vintage lens or something. So Kezi, it was really lovely having you on the podcast.
Thank you.
Wrapping up this first season, is there anything that you wanted to mention or anything you want to promote or shout about or anything like that before we wrap up?
I mean, the portraits that we're going to be doing, I'd really love as many people as possible to come to that. I think it's going to be a really cool day. Hopefully we can do like, you know, back to back and just get as many shots as we can and raise as much as we can.
Fantastic. I'm going to do a little bit of a roundup about telling people about that. So essentially what Portraits for Palestine is something that Kezi and I decided that we wanted to do, which was a way to raise money for a Palestinian aid charity. We've got a couple in mind, but essentially the idea is that you book a shoot with us, you get a shoot with me, you get a shoot with Kezi, and all you need to have done is shown that you've donated some money towards one of these charities in order to book a shoot. It's going to be a much, much shorter shoot than we would normally do so that we can get as many people through the door in one day as possible. And I believe it's the 5th of May.
Yep.
The 5th of May. So that will be coming up in a couple of weeks, and I'll be shouting about it on my Instagram for sure, as will you do, I'm sure. Fab. Okay, Kezi, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.